Hi guys. First of all, thank you to Skylight Books for being such a big supporter of my zines and my comics from day one. With an extra special shout out to Jen Witt, who discovered me in the first place. And I wanted to thank all of you guys for braving the rain and kind of the gloomy weather to come out here on a Monday night. So you all deserve kudos and free wine and pretzels and lollipops and gingerbread cookies for that. So I'm going to talk briefly about the origin of There's No Right Way to Meditate. I'll also be sharing a few sketches, little doodles about things I've been going through emotionally in the last few years. And I'll be reading a few excerpts. After this, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys might have about the book. And I also wanted to remind you guys that there is an informal after party at Rockwell, just a few blocks down. You're all invited to drink with me, and we could talk more about meditation and life. Or just drink and stare at each other. I don't know. So, as mentioned, There Is No Right Way to Meditate. It started out as a little self-published Xerox zine. I was making a bunch of meditation comics, and I decided to throw it all together in a zine. I was making them separately as individual blog posts. And the current book of There Is No Right Way to Meditate, it's also pulling material from my other meditation zine, A Special Message for You, hand-delivered to you from the universe. And it's also sneaking in very old drawings and very new drawings. So it's a weird timeline for me to have this as a new book because a lot of it predates my first book, but there's also new stuff in there too. So this is a picture of me at LA Zine Fest in 2012, LA's first ever Zine Fest. And it's hard to see, but you'll note that the sign says all zines $3. I didn't know how to price my zines, and I feel like Jen or somebody was like, "Are you sure you want to price it at $3? It's a bit too low." But this was the event where Jen happened to come across my little zine and actually wrote this little handwritten note to me asking if I was interested in selling at Skylight Books. And for a while, the two meditation zines are sold as a packet. I believe it was called the Sakugawa Special, which made me feel like this awesome sushi roll on this like bookstore sushi restaurant. This cute little twine. And as mentioned, it was surprisingly on the bestseller list for a few years. And I think it just shows the amazingness of Skylight Books for supporting self-published zinesters and artists who don't have a published books, and also the adventurous spirit of the visitors who come here who don't necessarily need a famous author or a famous publisher to give a book a chance. So I tell everybody, especially young artists, to just make a zine and put your work out there because you just really never know what's going to happen. These are just a bunch of weird drawings I've done. It's not in the book, but I'm just going to share them. And you'll see why they're not in the book. Self-loathing is such a great self-defense mechanism. Joke's on you, I hate myself more than you hate me. Progress. And I'm not going to swear, but you'll read it. Sorry if that offends anyone. I'm so emotionally effed up, I hate myself. Then. Now, I am so emotionally effed up. I'm cool with that. Near inner shitstorm gradually subside to a placid diarrhea lake where beautiful lotus flowers bloom. And this was inspired by the Thich Nhat Hanh quote. I want to say it's Thich Nhat Hanh, but it's about lotus flowers blooming in the mud and how even in the most challenging or horrible circumstances, there's an opportunity for something beautiful and delicate as a lotus flower to bloom. The ache in my back and curling into a cat. I got a lot of back pain, so this is my way of anthropomorphizing my back pain into something friendly and cuddly, like a cat. I am not my thoughts. Everything you need is inside. Walk and breathe. This one seems to strike a chord with people. This gets shared a lot by Tumblr. I did nothing today. That's okay. I think for some reason people just really need permission to do nothing. So I'm happy to help spread that gospel to the internet and Tumblr and whoever sees it. And here we are, the book version of There's No Right Way to Meditate. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this journey. And this amethyst was bought at House of Intuition, which I recently discovered, and I have to tie my hands down to not buy more crystals because everything's so pretty. 10 ways to get rid of your bad mood. Number 1, have your doppelganger extract your bad mood from your chest so he or she can make fun sculptures with it. Ta-da! Number 2, paint out your bad mood. When you're finished with your painting, set it on fire. Number 3, explain the reasons for your bad mood over a cup of tea with your two-headed neighbors. Blah, blah, blah. Number 4, ask your dinosaur friend to scare your bad mood away. Hiss, sick 'em steggy. Number 5, turn your body inside out so your bad mood falls out onto the ground. Sucka, plop. Number 6, breathe out your bad mood and watch it disappear into the sky. Number 7, get lost in the woods so your bad mood doesn't know where to find you. Number 8, beat your bad mood in a staring contest so it slinks away in defeat. You lose. Boo-hoo. Number 9, freak out your bad mood by acting all super fake and chumming with it. Come on, let's go watch a movie. It's okay. Number 10, and I'm serious, your amazing idea here. Please share. Anyone? Yes. I'm a fan of tapping. I haven't done it in a while, but that's a good one. I've also heard put it in a blender or feed it to your dog or make a podcast out of it. And you can also share it with me later tonight. This is one of my favorite comics in the book and favorite meditation comics in general because this is one of the earliest concepts that I learned when I was just starting out in meditation, where the thoughts you have is sort of this stream of things that's passing through your head, and we all identify with it, but the amazing thing about meditation is that it helps you detach from your thoughts and see them as though it's happening to another person, or it's strange natural phenomena where you don't have to react to it directly, but sort of observe it and see what an interesting thing it is. How to be a silent witness to your thoughts. Step 1. Be aware of the fact that you are thinking thoughts. I am thinking thoughts. I am thinking that I am thinking thoughts. Step 2. Now detach from yourself like you're having an out-of-the-body experience. You are now being the silent witness to your thoughts. Step 3. Once you have detached from yourself, observe your own thoughts as though you are a scientist observing a lab specimen. Thoughts. You may find that a lot of your thoughts are quite unproductive and actually hinder your happiness. My thoughts. Grudges, paranoia, I'm fat, my life sucks. Blah, blah, blah. Step 4. Take out your negative thought patterns and replace with thoughts that make you happy. My thoughts. I am thankful and happy to be alive. Repeat as often as possible for inner and world peace. The end. And this is just a single panel comic. This is your mind. This is your mind on meditation. Any questions? This is a simpler version of the comic I just read about being a silent witness. And It's funny because when I post comics like this along the same vein where I'm more or less telling people, you are not your thoughts, you don't have to identify with your thoughts. I found that some people actually get really offended by that suggestion. And I would get one or two comments from people saying, actually, you really are your thoughts. Sorry to break it to you. I don't know, I get mansplained about being identifying with your thoughts. It's really bizarre. But this is one of my favorite new comics that's in the book. It's called Sky Meditation. You are not your thoughts. They are clouds passing by, and you are the sky. And that's the end. And I'll read one more. This is another comic, like the I Did Nothing Today, That's Okay comic, where I feel like people just feel so relieved when they're told they don't have to do anything and they could just exist and breathe. And this image in particular, it's really gone around the internet in recent years. It's on a t-shirt in some t-shirt company in Vietnam, which is always funny and a weird rite of passage for cartoonists and illustrators who share their work on the web. And of course, I get annoyed that I don't get credited a lot, but at the same time, I think it's just so fascinating how it seems to strike a chord with people. And most people don't know that it's a 3-part comic, so I'm going to read the whole thing. Sometimes it's okay if the only thing you did today was breathe. Breathing lets your loved ones know that you are still alive. And every time you breathe in, a new idea is born. And every time you breathe out, an old grievance is released. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you. And now I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys might have, or comments, or ideas for getting rid of your pod mode. Yes.
So this is the first time I'm seeing color on some things that I'm familiar in black and white. Did you color them, or did you originally make them in color? Or am I just confused?
No, you're not confused. It sort of took this weird full circle path where it was originally colored digitally, but then it was printed in black and white for the zine. And then for this book version, I wanted the color scheme to be consistent, so I essentially had to recolor everything. So it went through several iterations to where it is now. Thank you. Thanks.
I have one.
Yes.
I just discovered you recently, and I really love the illustrated guide to the Rolling Universe. How long ago did you do that? Is that like a completely separate body of work than the meditation thing? Or are they kind of the same body of work?
I want to say, well, with your illustrated guide to becoming one with the universe, it definitely came after the material I made for There's No Right Way to Meditate. And so it's definitely informed by what I was making before. And this was all when I was working for an internet startup that dealt with wellness and self-help. And the funny thing was with your illustrated guide was that it was supposed to be an online course, but then I made all the material and it was ready to be published. But then the woman in charge of publishing the online courses, she just completely dropped the ball on getting back to me. So for a while it was just sitting dormant, and that's when I decided to make it into a self-published zine. And then it was getting kind of cumbersome to print it using this thick glittery cardstock for the covers. So then luckily my publisher became interested in publishing it. So like with the meditation zine, it went through several unexpected iterations before it became a book. Yeah.
Very
Oh yeah, thank you. Yes.
Do you, when you write a book, just draw random things as they come to you and then try and squish them in a book? Or do you have a blank book that you write down specific ideas? Or like how does your writing process? How do you find what's next? Or like how do you navigate what is coming to you from the drawing? Sorry, that's a long answer.
Oh no, I'm trying to think of how to answer that. That's such a great question. It's really different for every single one. I think there are some books where they really do start as individual self-contained things, and later I put them together, and the structure of it sort of organically reveals itself. And in other cases, like with my second book, where it's sort of formatted as sequential lessons, in that case, there is a bit more planning involved, where I outline and figure out the logic of the material before it becomes a book. And I think also in general with meditation comics, they're a little looser and more organic, whereas I feel like with my more fictional narrative-driven comics, I do a lot of planning for them to the point of it being not fun. So, I mean, all the cartoonists are like, ha ha. So for me, I find that the meditation comics are a looser way for me to be creative and express my ideas, whereas with my narrative comics, they require a lot of tinkering and planning before it gets done to its final form. Yes, hi Calvin.
When you have an old comic that you want to include into your book, do you tend to find yourself looking at it and thinking, I want to include this in the book the way it was when I first created it? Or is it more like, oh, I see this old comic, and because of this several years of experience after that, now I'm looking at it and I want to make some changes to it? Like, is there like a particular way that you do that?
I guess I'm a bit of a purist in the sense that I don't really like to modify material after it's done. I think the most I want to do is to recolor it perhaps, or to clean up smudges that I missed the first time. Otherwise, I like to keep it the way it is, unless in the case of when it's going through a publisher, then the editor may ask for changes such as thickening the letters, or change the wording, or add the comma because that's grammatically correct.
Maybe it could be like the wrong size for the book you printed.
Right. Yeah, so I do changes that better serve the book, but generally speaking, I like to keep the original intention intact as much as possible. Yeah. Yes.
Do you have plans on doing any more spiritual type books in the future?
Yes. and to expand on that, it's funny because up until recently, and I told a few friends of this already, but for the longest time, my primary identity was, I'm a comic book artist, but, these weird meditation comics, it's just kind of on the side, like a hobby. Like if comic book artists were to have a comic hobby, that's what it was. And I want to say even just in the last month, I decided to, and this was all in New Mexico under the beautiful Santa Fe sky with cacti and clear, bright, glistening stars. I decided, I should stop compartmentalizing my my content so much. It all comes from the same source, and I was sort of weirdly resistant to being a self-help author, even though that's the genre in which my books are sold. But I come to finally embrace it. And to answer your question, I went on this weird tangent, but to answer your question, I do want to continue to make more meditation comics. I do feel that as my own personal mindfulness practice deepens, I do want to continue to share insights about what I've learned through being mindful and meditating on a more serious and regular basis. And specifically with a future long-term book project, I do want to write more about mindfulness and meditation, but geared towards artists specifically, because I feel like so many of my readers are creative people or struggle with creative expression. So I'm really interested in fusing meditation, mindfulness, and also living the creative life. So you heard it here first, so stay tuned for that in a few years down the line. Yes?
So kind of hopping off of Mari's question, I feel like when I read your fictional narratives and even like your how-tos, there's something very recognizable about the philosophy behind it, even if it's not just the art. But I don't know, I don't have an articulation for that. Do you? Do you have an idea of what the common thread of all the different projects you work on is?
So Steph was asking about if there are any particular common threads between my different projects, whether it's fictional works or self-help books. And I've thought about this a lot, and I want to say whether it's my mindful meditation guides, where they're more self-helpy, for the lack of a better made-up word, or they're sort of more traditionally narrative, where there's a clear beginning, middle, end, a climax, resolution, etc. I want to say with all of those works, I really want people to really pay attention, and in the act of being very mindful and paying attention as a reader, there's some sort of cathartic or therapeutic healing that takes place. So whether it's shifting your own mental paradigm to re-examine how you live your life and how you examine your thoughts, or in a more narrative level to be awakened by a specific feeling or memory, to really just pay attention and listen. So that's my general, I want to say, sort of core message that subconsciously, I want to say, was seeping through all my works, and now I'm a little more conscious of it. Any more questions? Yes?
I just want to thank you for, being so open and saying that it's okay to do nothing.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
I really love that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
That so much of your work is shared and loved on the internet, and I'm just wondering whether or not you think of the internet as a mindful space or a stressful space, and how you practice mindfulness, spending so much time at your computer.
I've been struggling with that so much. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I think a lot of people struggle with that too. I read this self-help book recently. I forget the title, but it was one of those compilations of self-help articles written by popular self-help bloggers. And one of the articles was about using the internet mindfully, where you really are conscious of the intention behind this very powerful tool, and how the intention is going to be reflected in how you use it. So I do try to be, lately, and this is really in the last week, I do really try to be mindful as much as possible, even in something as trivial and kind of soul-crushing as answering your giant inbox of emails, to really be mindful of the relationship that is being formed between the people involved in the conversation, to really know what my purpose is when I'm logged in a specific social media channel, and obviously to really schedule no Wi-Fi breaks throughout the day. of course, easier said than done. But I do believe that I don't really like to make overgeneralizing terms about whether the internet is a useful place, not useful, a mindful place or a mindless place. I have benefited from pockets of mindfulness in the internet. Even if it's a cheesy Rumi quote on an Instagram sunset, it helps sometimes. Or really forming new relationships on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. So, in a nutshell, I think it's just a matter of being mindful while you're using it, and also being mindful of being offline and really healing from that, because I think we all get subconsciously stressed on a mental, physical, and spiritual level when we're too connected and we're not aware of why we're connected online. Yeah, that was a great question. That should maybe be my next book, Internet and Meditation. Thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Do you have like a regular sort of meditation routine, or like how do you incorporate that in your life?
I do have a regular meditation routine, and people ask me, what school of meditation do you practice? And I'm like, I don't know. For someone who writes a lot about meditation, I'm actually not very literate in the different philosophies of meditation that exist. So really what I do is every morning, first thing in the morning, I sit on my couch and I close my eyes. Well, before I close my eyes, I set my iPhone timer to 20 minutes, and then I close my eyes and I sit in silence. And really that's all I do. I just, I listen to my inner silence. I pay attention to whatever sounds that may be in the background. And whether I'm really distracted or I'm able to get into a more mindful state, whether I'm thinking about my to-do list or even thinking about past grudges or something horrible, the point is I'm paying attention to my thoughts and I'm paying attention to whatever is happening, and then the timer goes off and I open my eyes. And people ask me a lot, what advice do you give for people who don't meditate or are intimidated by it? And I really think even if just for 5 minutes you're sitting, closing your eyes and doing nothing, I really do think the act of sitting and doing nothing and being quiet and being unplugged and not talking is a very healing thing that anybody can do at any point in the day. So yeah, and also, if you guys want to talk to me about meditation, I'm more than happy to talk about it after the Q&A. Any other questions? Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.
You've been listening to the Skylight Books Author Reading Series. Don't forget that you can listen to this and all of our other great podcasts at skylightbooks.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and we hope to see you soon.